find out exactly who this new striker target is. That's got this football club very excited. And to end with things, we talk all things Graham Potter, as today it's finally been revealed what went down during his term as our manager. We have a ton of things to get through today, my friends, so I hope you enjoy the video. You might be wondering, Nini, winter time, you got the shades on, what the hell's going on right now? I'm sorry, I've been rinsing out this new Kendrick Lamar album, absolute work of art. And I'm not gonna lie, it's giving me a bit of a vibe right now, so I hope you guys enjoy the video. And let's get straight into things. Getting straight into things now, we talk the first story. And today, reports reveal some interesting news around Ipswich Town striker Liam Delap. Now, it's been revealed that we are still looking to reinforce up front as we hope to find some competition alongside Nicholas Jackson. And it seems like we are now turning our attention to yet again another Man City player, and Liam Delap actually worked under Maresca and has played alongside your Cole Palmers, Lavias, plus a lot more. So the Man City-fication is expected to grow when the January window opens up again. But regardless, my friends, it's been reported that we are very enthusiastic about Liam Delap. We like his physical profile a lot, his speed, his acceleration, and they're just like a small part of the things that excite us about him. But the underlying data is quite impressive around the striker. This season, Delap has scored 6 goals, he's picked up 1 assist as well, and unsurprisingly, many football clubs in the league are watching him, following him, and considering making moves. Now, Man City, they were smart when they allowed him to go to Ipswich Town. They included a £20 million buyback clause in that deal. Who knows if that gets activated if Ipswich get relegated, for example? We don't know, but to get someone of his profile, that potential, for that type of price, for a club like us, that's the type of deal that we're going to be completely all over. But anyway, let's talk this deal right now. Nini, don't we have Mark Gu? Don't we already have Christopher Nkunku that can't even find himself getting Premier League minutes this season? Why exactly do we need, yet again, another striker? I think that's a very fair question, and when I read reports like this, considering how much promise there is surrounding this story currently, I have to think about why the club could be moving in this potential manner, and I think it comes down to one big reality. I feel like if you're signing Delap, essentially that means goodbye to Christopher Nkunku. Now, we have many 8s and many 10s already in our squad, and it seems quite obvious that at the moment, Felix is prioritized more playing in that 10 role compared to Christopher Nkunku right now. So if you have to fine-tune that squad even more, maybe it makes sense to then get rid of an additional attacking mid and swap him for a striker. And instead of targeting someone like a Simhen for big money and big wages, I'll be very surprised if we go back into that deal again in January. When you know that you can't get Duran anymore, or a more deal on players of that nature, it makes sense for us to target that competition figure, that number 2, that plan B option up front, that comes for an affordable price and complements the methodology at this football club. Listen, I might sound a bit cynical here, but historically, every time I've seen number 2s at big clubs, they don't tend to have the longest shelf life. Most times they're here 1 to 3 seasons max. Once you have that established number 1, all you need is good competition in the short term, and they tend to be the options that get rotated time and time again over the years. I mean, come on, over the past 12 months, we've signed your Nkunkus, Dacho Fofanas, Hughes, we have Broja still on our books, plus a lot more strikers, and most of these guys were new buys that already don't have a long shelf life at all. So if we targeted Delap for an affordable price and fee, under £30 million. So when you're in a situation like that, there's only a few outcomes that can materialize. Number 1, Delap hypothetically gets better than Nicholas Jackson and then is worth the investment. Number 2, he improves, which means that his market value increases, which means that we could earn a nice profit on a potential sale. Or number 3, he sold for the same value in which we originally buy him for. That's the game right now. The game today is very transactional. At our football club, we follow that mantra to the highest level. We love player trading. That's what our new strategy and philosophy is about right now. So this is my only explanation behind why we'd be targeting Delap as that number 2 or competition striker for Nicholas Jackson. So my friends, how do you feel about this story and news? Do you think he's the right profile we should target? Do you like Delap? Let us know exactly how you're feeling below. And now, let's unpack what went down during Graham Potter's appearance on the High Performance podcast. In this episode, I found it very revealing, very insightful, and it gave us some insights behind his struggles as our manager, the mistakes he learned and made, and most importantly, the human side to the game and the human side to management. I'm going to condense some of the key talking points I found interesting because the episode is an hour and a half long, so I recommend you guys watch it for yourselves if you want to get the full scoop. But anyway, I'm going to break things down into points. The first point I felt was the conversation around balancing leadership and mental health. Now, the podcast focused on the duality that being a manager brings, the relentless pursuit for results alongside the personal costs of leadership. The key thing being mental health and conversations on these matters throughout this podcast episode. As Potter said, sometimes you can beat yourself up for feeling the way you're feeling. You've got to be kinder to yourself. Your thoughts aren't always true. Potter essentially describing the emotional toll he felt managing our football club, and he kind of likened everything to a grieving process in that sense. The relentless pressure left him struggling. He had to reconcile his professional failures. I think that's why he's taking some time out from the game just to kind of recover personally. And to be honest, I don't blame him. I think personally, I was quite disappointed by the fan base in terms of how they treated Graham Potter, because for myself, I knew about this guy before he was our manager. I knew about his exploits in Sweden. I thought his story was really inspiring. His coaching methodology, how he views and sees the game. He isn't as orthodox as people feel that you have to be in this game. And I think he's found his own lane with his holistic approach to the game. I felt the fan base was a bit too ruthless. There was too much character assassinations. We can't forget Graham Potter himself even revealed that himself and his family suffered, and they even received some death threats by emails on occasion. I felt like he was the scapegoat for everything going wrong at the time. It was very unfair. And I can see why that took a bit of a toll, as the situation he found himself in was kind of bigger than anything he could do to really rectify things. For myself, he was dealt the impossible hand. The next conversation point was on the chaos at our football club, as stability was just never possible. Now, Potter revealed that instability he faced was due to the constant turnover of players. It was due to the chaotic recruitment strategy and approach, the injuries to key players at the time, as well as the fact that we were currently restructuring the club's hierarchy during his time here. As he said, if you take a sledgehammer to a place and change it that quickly, sometimes there will be some collateral damage, and he feels like he paid the price for that. He feels like he was the collateral damage in this situation, and he wasn't helped by the rapid influx of players who came in a very short amount of time. It created a lot of squad bloat and a lot of destabilization around the club. I think that's very fair. For myself, when you have a squad that consists of 35 to 36 players, how exactly do you implement a precise direction of play and system? For us, it's easy to say, oh, you use this guy, you use that guy. But at the time, we didn't know if guys like Havertz and Cole were going to leave us. When you have an abundance of players if you ask 10 people to pick the perfect lineup out of 35 players, you're going to get 10 completely different answers. I think it brings up key questions too. During that infamous January window where we signed 7 or 8 players out from nowhere, it makes you think that was the window where our club directors in Winsley and Stewart, they had the first opportunity to really sink their teeth into rebalancing the squad in their image. But did that really come with Graham Potter's longevity in mind? Most likely not. They used that window for themselves. I think to myself, when we forced the signing of Enzo Fernandez, in hindsight, of course, we could have signed him for 88 million if we deferred his transfer to the end of that season. In hindsight, did it make any difference? We could have saved an additional 20 to 25 million pounds on top, and we'd be signing Enzo Fernandez, who's a better player in better form, and we'd be in a better situation. Another discussion was around mental health in football breaking the stigma. Potter challenged the outdated cultural alpha male type of image that goes around football. As he says, the cultural alpha male position of a coach, you have to be strong, thick-skinned, all-knowing, isn't realistic because we're human beings. And I felt like Potter was quite candid. I think this is why I've always personally liked him. I think he sees the game a bit differently, kind of looks past the stereotypes around the game, and he revealed the loneliness he felt at the time. You're not getting backed by the fans, you're not getting backed by the ownership, you're doubting yourself, you're losing your confidence, you're getting criticized, your character's getting assassinated left, right, and center. It definitely did reveal some of the dark sides to the game, I have to say. And I don't know, as he himself says, the only thing you can do during these times is self-care and using psychological services to kind of cope with the pressure of the game. And I don't know, maybe this explains why it's taken him this long to try and re-enter back into football. I don't blame him, to be fair, and as I've said, out of all the managers we've had here, I felt very sympathetic towards Graham Potter because he was really dealt the impossible hands. Final 2 points, empathy over transactionality. Potter revealed his unorthodox coaching methods, and they're built on empathy and support rather than transactional relationships of kicking players out, being ruthless for the sake of it, etc., etc. As he said, we've got to connect with the people on a human level. It's hard enough as it is if you're not fighting for each other. And we learned some, interesting coaching techniques he was using to foster that unity. As he said, he implemented this team building exercise, which had the players receiving letters from their parents. It makes sense. You're dealing with a lot of upheaval. New players are coming in. Many dissatisfied players already are at the club who don't know where their future lies for the following season. You have all these guys at your disposal. Training methods can't be run properly because there's not enough space to even maintain the squad size and the squad flow. All you can do is at least try to empower the players and at least foster that team spirit, because without that, you're going to play like individuals on the field. For the final talking point, he discusses the brutal realities of management. Potter acknowledged the cutthroat nature at the highest level. At Brighton, he mentioned the fact that he had an established leadership structure there under Tony Bloom, which made things a bit easier. But when he first signed for us, not having a pre-season, there was no foundation here. We hadn't finalized the sporting directors or many things at the football club. As we've learned, even till this season, Bowley and Igbali haven't had the same vision for the club and haven't had that unity since day one. Still, don't think that this podcast episode was him just sharing the blame out to people and not taking accountability. He admits himself, listen, he's made many tactical mistakes during his time here. And of course, when you make mistakes like that, it erodes the confidence of not only the players, but also the confidence of the management too. For himself, he's framed this as a reason to improve because he was very strong about self-improvement, and he discussed that quite a lot in the high performance episode. Potter said though that when he was hired for a long-term vision, but that unfortunately clashed with the realities at the highest level. With that being that everything is results focused, and essentially if you want to trust the process, it's about getting smaller wins compared to getting big losses if you want to build something over time. So as I said, I recommend you guys watch this for yourself. You learn quite a lot of things, and it really discussed things like resilience, empathy, the human sides of the game. I think a lot of interesting subject matter. So how do you guys feel about Graham Potter's time here? Do you see things a bit differently now that we've gone forward 2 years? Or do you still feel like Graham Potter had a lot more responsibility to take and could have maybe made his time here better for himself? Let us know below in the comment section. Today, my friends, that is a news video, so I hope you guys enjoy. Share your thoughts and opinions, and I'll catch you guys again tomorrow. Cool.